Guess who's back? Back again. Leo's back. Tell a friend. Leo's back. 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 From Oklahoma High School, it's Pioneer Broadcasting with Leo Kinnetz.
Hello and welcome to Pioneer Broadcasting. I am your host, Leo Kinnetz, and I'm here with the wonderful
Mr. Marra.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I grew up in Hartley, Iowa, which is about a half hour away from here. Both my parents were teachers growing up, so I knew I was going to probably be in education somewhere. I have a sister. She teaches at Esterville. I went on from Hartley, Melvin, Sanborn to Iowa Lakes Community College because I wanted to play some baseball for a couple years and got my AA degree, and then I moved on to Wayne State College in Wayne, Nebraska, and finished there with my bachelor's in education, in elementary education. And my first job in education was here at Okoboji in 2003, and I've been here ever since. And I coach junior high football, junior high basketball, boys and girls, and for the last 16 years I've been the baseball coach, which I just resigned in this last summer. I've been the captain of the Queen since about 2009. I had to do a summer and a half of training on it, and then they let me go with my first group that I had on was about 120 people. That was a little nerve-wracking, but yeah, for the last 12, 13 years I've done that along with baseball. But I'm anxious to do more Queen 2 rides now that I'm not doing baseball anymore.
So obviously, many people around the Lakes area know about the Queen, but what was the story? How did it become? And what was the purpose of? I understand that there's the original Queen. What was the purpose of that?
Actually, the first Queen was brought to this area, or maybe even built here. I'm not even sure on that, but like in the 1880s.
Wow.
Even back then, it was starting to become, a major tourist attraction. This area, the lake, it actually was on Big Spirit first, and then there were some issues with, some drought, and they thought Westlake is a glacier lake, and it's deeper than Big Spirit, so they brought over Westlake, and that was on the water from 1880 to about 1973, and then it was sold to Adventureland, and they were going to do something down there, and it never happened, and it kind of fell apart. It was all wood.
Gotcha. Was there another boat?
Yes, there was a boat called the SS Empress. It would give rides to different places. I do know that around the lake, so I can imagine it probably took people to work too. And that was on the lake from 1961 to about 1983. And it got to a point where the people that owned it, which was not the amusement park, it was a family that owned it, and got to a point where the lease of docking on the lake was getting to be too much, and they weren't getting as many people riding as they wanted, so they took it to Hot Springs, Arkansas, where it's called now the Belle of Hot Springs, and it's a tourism or a tourist boat. Goes around, I think it's like a 12-mile lake, and they do dinner cruises on it and things like that.
So I understand that you guys talk about some historical facts around the lakes area.
Yep.
So what facts and what places do you go by on the Queen?
Well, in the summertime, we go out 4 times a day, 1, 3, 5, and 7. We give an hour and 15-minute cruise around beautiful Westlake Okoboji. And we have a narration on it that talks about a lot of the history of not only the area, but Westlake Okoboji. From the Spear Lake Massacre to the history at Terrace Park when there used to be a casino there, Boys Town, all the little resorts that are on the lake we talked about. Different, every point on the lake has a name, and it usually is because that family built their house on that point. So either the point's named after their last name or the state that they came from. So that's kind of what we do on the Queen. It's we can hold 200 people on that thing. There's a bar that sells adult beverages and pop and some popcorn. Great popcorn on the lake.
It does go by the like the most expensive house in Iowa.
It does, yeah. And we talk about it a little bit. It's the Bedell House, and that is, I think, for sale. If somebody wanted to buy it, I think they'd probably sell it. Last time I heard, it was about a $12 million house that they would sell for $12 million. So that's a lot more money than I got, Leo. So I'm not going to be buying that one.
I do believe that they used to do different organizational things in there with different groups. Is that true?
Yeah, we do a lot of business parties, whether it's maybe their yearly or their summer getaway, or we do weddings, we do wedding receptions, we do birthdays. People rent it out for different occasions, and that's, of course, an expensive thing to do, but a lot of people do it. And otherwise, it's public cruises for people to ride for, I think, $17 a shot.
Great.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, there was a crash to the Queen.
Yeah, I mean, we've had, the Queen is very susceptible. Is that the word? To weather. It's tough to control when it's windy because there's no side thrusters on it. So you have the left or the port engine and the starboard engine, and the wind can get a hold of you. And we've had some issues where we've had some storms that have forced us into some situations, and we've had some issues mechanically that has we kind of got stuck a couple summers ago in the sand. We came in pretty hard with some wind, and we just had some mechanical issues there too that forced that to happen. And it's not much fun when that happens. I've been the pilot when something like that's happened, and it's tough to handle. But you just try to keep the passengers as safe as you can, and we'll get them off eventually safely.
Yes.
But yeah, in the wintertime, they winterize it. It stays right at the dock. They put bubblers around the boat so the water doesn't freeze against it, because we can get 3 foot ice in the water, and that would just crunch it if they allowed that to happen. So there's continual maintenance on it. Always trying to. It's an old boat. It's 30. Let's see, 1986, 14. It's 36 years old.
Wow.
So it takes a beating, but there needs to be a lot of maintenance to keep it up.
So there's been some talk going around about potentially another boat that would replace the Queen. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. There is some talk about something maybe coming in that's newer. It's a tough topic to talk about because the Queen too is loved by so many people, and they love seeing it on the lake. And when you have the older generation that loves that thing so much, it's hard for them to see change. So it's just like anything you have. I mean, if I have a 2015 car, I'm probably not. My next car is probably not going to be a 2015 of the same thing. You're going to want something that's a little newer. So, and that's like that. It's just tough when that the boat is the face of the lakes area.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for appearing in our very first podcast. And I want to thank all my listeners for listening. And make sure to come back next week as I interview people about the University of Okoboji Winter Games. I'm your host, Leo Kinnetz with Pioneer Broadcasting, signing out.